Hello, welcome, ladies, and gentlemen, and abominants to that 6+++ show. I'm your host, Tom, very lowest of men, and I'm back again to talk all things nerdy. And today we're talking about a data slate that definitely is one of the data slates of all time. Musing a little bit on the end of an edition, what that means for balance. And we got a ton of good listener questions, so we're going to be chewing our way through that as well. As ever, we're mercenaries, so if there's armies and topics you want us to talk about, you can wang us a super chat and we'll certainly cover that. I'm going to introduce my cast of players and then we will get right into it. Bottom left, looking very sharp in black. It's the Capitan. It's Chris Tull. Chris, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I am, fun fact for you, on the third T-shirt of the day.
That is a fun fact, Chris.
Fun fact for you, because earlier on I was doing a bit of just moving some models around, and the red dust that I've used on some of my basing got all over the T-shirt I was wearing. So I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
devastating. You've weathered yourself.
tried to wash that and
Yeah.
didn't really come out. But I was like, it's fine, put on a different T-shirt. And then I was carrying the World Eater models that I'm finally
Yeah.
getting ready to sell. And then I looked down and I managed to hold them against my T-shirt
Yeah.
and had a completely new, nice T-shirt covered in red dust. And neither of it has come out. So T-shirt number 3, that's the highlight of my day so far.
That is extremely exciting. A little moment of silence for your World Eaters. How many games played in the end?
Think about 8.
About 8. Corn's number, we'll take it. And what would you say to someone looking to buy that army off you in terms of an experience of playing and owning World Eaters?
All right, so much fun. You'll have hours of fun, and you will make all of your charges, and you'll kill lots of things in combat. And it'll be a great time. So head over to eBay and look up World Eaters.
They do look really pretty. Did you paint those?
Surprisingly, yes, Tom.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed. They're nice. They're really nice. No, you're a good painter, but they're really
must
nice.
be cursed.
Yeah, no, they're not fully painted. Basically, it was Scrivo's Christmas thing, wasn't it? A couple of years ago, I was like, I'm going to paint this army, and very quickly realised that was not happening.
No.
And so there's some Exalted 8-pound that are barely finished, but I'm not really a fan of painting gold trim on them. That wasn't a fun time. So
Trim kills aspirations and dreams, doesn't it?
yeah. So I thought I'd change it up,
Yeah, so Thousand Suns, I'm sure, will deliver a very different.
Yeah, they're really fun.
Different experience. How many games of Thousand Suns have you played?
How many games of Thousand Suns have I played? Oh, probably about 8.
There you go. All right, more on that as it develops. Okay, up in top right with a very promising beard coming along. It's lovely Jack Chapman. Jack, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Fun fact: I'm on the same shirt that I wore yesterday.
Nice.
Worse than me, Jack.
Well, the thing is, this shirt is so comfortable because it's a 6++ shirt, and you can get one for yourself.
Oh my
on
god!
GambitGaming.com.
I love Jack's ironic shilling that he does. It's great. It's actually our best shilling, but it's really good. Terrific. And what's new in Warhammer Land, Jack? Has anything happened to any armies you love recently that might have put you in a good mood?
Maybe 2 things.
Okay.
2 big, beautiful things. So the Twin Lance came out.
Yes,
they're pretty cool.
Twin Lance, right? Okay.
Yeah. Twin Lance, they are very. Yeah, none of the other thing. None of that for sure. Twin Lance is great. It's pretty terrific. I will not lie. I played 2 games with them.
Yeah.
I played 1 game against Theo, and he had not looked at what that unit did. So he had a great experience with that. They moved 111 inches in 4 turns.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And they basically won me the game. I also have another story, which I might save for later because it's like a 2-minute long story. I don't want to go into it now, but it's a really good story.
Make a note somewhere. I'm going to make a note. Jack's Twin Lance anecdote. Just forget. Okay, and down in bottom left, with his excellent handlebar moustache coming along, it's another ginger. It's Davey. Davey, how are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I was going to do the ginger bit, but thank you very much for stealing it off me. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm not.
I'll take any low-hanging fruit I can get. So.
I'm on today's T-shirt. I feel very bang average.
You're the middle ground.
I am the middle ground, the normal one, you might say. I'm doing all right, mate. Doing all right.
That's terrific. What's new in your 40k life, Davey?
Less events in the next 3 months.
Okay.
So, actively looking for less events. If you know less events in your area, please let me know where the less events can be. We've got some. I've got 2 events in. Normally for me, I think I would always be looking for something else.
Yeah.
And I'm not now.
Not that enthusiastic.
Certainly, I'm looking forward to playing Necromunda.
Oh, hello. Yeah.
What a great time to play a game you'll never get to play again.
Yeah.
I've bought all this. I've done the Necromunda thing and bought terrain that will never see the light of day.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. Yep.
Yeah, might as well buy a gang that I'll never roll dice against.
Terrific. No, that's good. I've got some policemen, so I need to do that. I need to build those policemen
for the end of the month, right?
Oh, we'll worry about that later. That will happen.
And, excitingly, organising a special surprise that you all might see in the near future, where you'll see a bunch of content come all at the same time, and it's content that we know you love. Don't want to spoil it though. Don't want to spoil it. But there's going to be an awful lot of it.
I'm on actual tenterhooks. Okay, well that's very.
You
exciting.
know what it is.
Oh, do I? Well, I've forgotten. So that's excellent.
It's nothing you didn't sign up for that you're supposed to.
Ah, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, terrific. Well, I look forward to being in some way involved in that. That's going to be great. For me, I actually wore this to the gym, so we were all pretty grim on the t-shirts front. So I obviously didn't work very hard.
I'm not. Mine is.
You
fresh.
are grim because you keep weathering your own clothes. All right.
This current t-shirt is fresh.
That's true for now. And 40k wise, what have I done? I painted some Kroot.
Crouton.
They're quite cute. I like that. That's going to take me 10 million years to finish, but they are fun. And I've been playing quite a lot of various England-based armies and just trying to decide. We've got home nations, and I'm hopeful of playing at home nations, so I need to work out what I'll use at that. At the moment.
I can't wait for us to have a towel man. Do you know what I mean?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm not a talent. I'm a guard man.
Yeah,
yeah.
Jack loves the guard now, so that's absolutely fine. That's been about most of my 40k. I've had some coaching. It's been nice coaching people this week. Everyone's in relatively good moods. I had a bunch of lads playing at Windsor who all did really well. And one of my students actually came up to me today and said, I saw there was he was doing like some sport at Windsor at the same venue. It might have been something, I can't remember what he was doing. But anyway, he said he saw a huge gaggle of nerds there and he wanted to go in and ask if any of them knew Dr. Lohman. And I was like, someone might have even known if you'd asked, but he didn't pluck up the courage. So there we are.
Dr. Lohman.
I know, outrageous. So that is it for me in that sense. What we'll do now is shout out the chat, a smidgen of self-promotion, move on with our lives, and get stuck into our main topic. So who's in? It's busy. It's a busy chat. Oninada's in. John Black is in. Longinus is in. Afternoon from Atlanta, everyone. Welcome, Longinus. I don't think I've seen you in here before. That's awesome. Ola Bankston is in, saying that is some good-looking fellas. Thank you. That's nice. We'll take that. That's absolutely right. I like that we've coordinated. We've got brunettes on one side, gingers on the other, covering the different angles. I think that's good. Alex Lomax is here. Well done, Alex, on a very good Windsor run. Maxwell is in. Mike Glassick is in. There's some hatred for Trim. Onanada says the Delac gang is a good cultist proxy. Yeah, my old Hemoxites for my Drakari were Delac, I believe.
I called Starry Priests for my Admech.
Yeah, they were great. They were a great box for like, would you like this to be like an expensive unit that would cost twice as much? But these slinky lads will do the same sort of job. They work very, very well. Busk Till Dawn is in, saying Necromunda is the coolest, but the terrain buy-in is steep and the rules are incredibly fragmented. So good luck with that, Davey.
Yeah, I found that out.
And Onada says that they have their Delac in the Night Lords. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I could see them being like Septimus and the other little lackeys in the Night Lords. They're quite slinky dudes, so that makes sense on the ship. So that's good fun as well. Okay, wonderful. From a self-promotional standpoint, hi, thank you. We love you. Please continue to support us because that's nice. If you could hit like and subscribe, that would be great. If you could leave a comment on the video, that would also be great. We don't mind if it's just whinging about Ultramarine, like whatever it is you want. Just some kind of thought shower on the comments, please. Even if you're telling us that we've been driveling for too long, I don't mind that. That's absolutely fine as well. If you want to sign up to support us financially, you can do so as a YouTube member. The option's on the page. You can also sign up as a chapter master there. You can get coaching with us. We've got a lot of mentees in that Discord. It's quite exciting. We're just plotting our mentees team for the May ITT, which is very cool. We're going to have some mentees out there in the world. We're just looking at their comp at the moment, fine-tuning it. It's a hell of a comp.
It is one hell of a comp.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of good tech across the mentees to send them out into the world with, so that's very exciting. So massive thank you to all of you who've been working with us there. And if you want to come and learn one of your favourite 40k armies with a bunch of wonderful coaches, get in touch with us and let us know. Otherwise, it's just the fundraiser, isn't it, Chris? The good old fundraiser. I don't know if someone could whack a fundraiser link in the chat at some point. That would be absolutely wonderful. we're getting towards the end of our fundraiser for our streaming setup for WTC and for our Studio Plus Plus in the future. So if you fancy chucking a little bit of money in to help us get to that final goal, we'll love you very much indeed. Okay. That was rapid self-promotion. The drivel has extended to only 10 minutes. That's not actually that bad at all, as drivel goes.
Very good.
So, we've got a super chat. Thank you, Trevor Redl4458. Says, Orks to suck, all of 11th in Tyrannid-esque fashion. What do you reckon? What are the odds?
I think odds are better that happens than it doesn't, because if they're in the launch box, they're probably getting an early codex, and nobody likes
early codex can be a poison chalice.
Right, go find me.
Yeah, I think Orcs would be an interesting one. It always feels like the starter box of the Xenos is tailor-made to just get absolutely decimated by whatever the starter box of the Marines is. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of Marines with like strength 6 bolters for some reason, just killing them all to death.
Yeah, for those who don't remember the Leviathan box, the Tyranid half of that box just got battered every game.
Yeah, I remember I was up at Warhammer Fest watching people testing it for the first time, and there were like 8 tables next to each other, and I just got to watch the same like 20 termagants die the exact same death to the Infernus Marines on every single table in every single turn 1 or 2. Absolutely terrific. Aiden SG is in, says Vessels of Wrath is kind of cool. We're talking about World Eaters, is it? That's interesting.
Yeah, we spoke about it on Monday's show.
That's Aiden who did the list, Chris.
Yes, this is Aiden, 7 unit Hellbrute Aiden.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Aiden, are you in here doing your own promotion? That's not allowed. We're the only people allowed to promote ourselves in here, Aiden. That's very cheeky, but I'll look forward to finding out more about that list because I haven't seen that one. Trevor's giving them the show some love. That's lovely. Theo's in. Boo. Alex Lomax is in. Bemoaning a failed charge. Devastating. Excellent stuff. Okay. Terrific work. So, here's the context. We have had a data slate. It wasn't the greatest slate, but it was a slate. So we're going to comment a little bit on that and what we think has changed and where we think the meta is going. I think several of us have different angles and appreciation of that. If you have an army you want us to talk about, you can shout us out at Super Chat. We'll cover that faction. We'll bounce around a few different places with that, but we won't be spending all night on it going super in depth. But I think there's interesting thoughts about basically this sets us up now from here till the end of the edition, really, doesn't it? So it's thinking about what that means for the competitive game and what that means for our engagement with it as well. And then we've got a bunch of podcast questions, so we're going to field those as well. What I'm going to start with is getting my lads here to give you their overall feeling, their gut emotional response to this most recent data slate. And I'm going to start with you, Chris.
Bit shit in it.
Okay, go on.
Well, I mean, we spoke about it a lot yesterday or on the Monday show, but I guess the overwhelming feeling of meh from so many people generally is kind of the proof that it hasn't quite done what it's kind of would hope it would set out to do. Okay. From I think a lot of people's perspective, when you've got the new data slate that's new, that's exciting, that's something to look forward to, it's going to give your army a new lease of life. You've got things to try, new things to try out and that sort of thing. And obviously for most people, that hasn't been the case. Obviously some players, some very particular armies may be quite happy, maybe with new units, or maybe they feel like they got away with it a bit. But I think in the general broad strokes, even if you maybe so, for example, I've just started playing Thousand Suns, and they're a pretty good place at the moment. So I was like, they're probably going to get these tiny little nerfs, which mean I lose a unit, right?
Yeah.
But as it is, it hasn't been touched. But there's nothing new and exciting to try or new. Think back to some of the data slates in the past; they've been quite wide-ranging, and lots of different armies have been like, "Oh, cool! I can now try these different things," and that's just not been the case at all. GW have very much said, overall, we're happy with the state of the game. We're just going to tweak some things, and it's kind of been. I mean, as far as I can tell, my first impression is I don't really think it's made any difference at all to the state of the game, and so. Therefore, we are now stuck in the same game state that we've been in for the last few months. For the next few months, whilst we get teased with new 11th edition stuff, and just kind of we're like, okay, cool, sweet. Well, guess we look forward to that then, which I think is a sad way for me personally to be thinking about the end of the edition.
Yeah, that's very reasonable, and I think we'll come back to it. But I think it highlights how slates have been in this edition, and perhaps how our expectations might have changed as well in recent times. But also there are question marks about what a slate should even be for. That I think a few people had talked about in our podcast questions, which I think is something we can definitely unpack in a bit more depth. I'm going to take it over to a more optimistic place, sunny uplands of Jack Chapman. Jack, what's your feeling on the slate?
I mean, as people have been very negative about the slate, and I am slightly more positive on it, but not because of the reason that people think that I am more positive on it.
I knew it. I knew you'd have a take, Jack. Don't let me down. What is it?
It's basically the same meta that we had last time. And is that good? No, it's not. Mostly because of Votan, right? Is it the worst meta we've had in 9th? 10th even, sorry. Is it the worst meta we've had in 10th? Absolutely not. We've had so much worse coming through this edition. So, like, don't get me wrong. There's lots of factions that are really, really going to hate this meta.
Yeah.
Tyranids. Because Votan are just a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
But for most other factions, like, things are kind of reasonable, right? You know, I'm saying this like very aware that I am a guard and Tau player, right? That is that is absolutely like gonna make me have more fun in my games than maybe people who are playing stuff that is not so good.
Sure.
Like there's definitely things that don't. I would agree with the statement that most people have said, where people seem to think that they have moved most of their stuff over to 11th, which makes sense as a conclusion to have. I think it's kind of taking the mick that a multi-billion-pound company can't put support into. Just have one person do it. Like they have 3 months, you can get a couple more changes in than that, and even one person doing that, like it's not that. I mean, I'm saying this is like without any ability to see the inside process of what's going on. Like, and say it's not that hard, but it's. I would like to see a little bit more effort put in. But I mean, there's lots of stuff like specific stuff about the slate and the way that they do the slates. I think that has been a bit of disappointment, but
sure.
I do think that it is kind of a bit of a good example of how Games Watch seems to be putting in kind of the minimum effort, I think, on a lot of these competitive releases, which is a bit of a shame. But I think we could have been in a lot worse place for sure.
I think that's very reasonable, and I think we'll look at that in a minute, and we'll think about. I think there's a couple of caveats about how this balance is going to play out as well, because it's not actually as simple as it will now stay the same for the remainder of the edition, because there are other variables we need to account for, and I think that's where it's worth flagging up a couple of reasons you might want to leave things more or less as they are. But before we do that, Davey, how do you feel about this slate, mate?
Well, you know what? 2 and Lance at 160. It's not bad, right, when you think about it, because they are literally handing you Assassinate and bring it down. I'm only kidding, right? I'm only kidding. It's shit. It's so shit. No, I mean, so here's the thing, right? This is, I suppose, my kind of take on it is that ninth, all we wanted was a balanced game, right? We just wanted balance. And there was just like crazy stuff was amazing. There was a codex creep beyond what it is now. All we wanted was balance. So they said, okay, the GW, they go, okay, let's get balance. Let's do that. So we'll do balance intent. That's going to be the key thing. But the problem is then we all got used to it, right? Yeah. And then we all expect a balanced data slate to actually be an excitement data slate.
We do. A dopamine slate.
As Chris pointed out, you do. You want new news, new things, and et cetera, et cetera. But they've not. They haven't said it's not called a excitement data slate. It's called a balanced data slate. And if I look at Necrons, right? If you look at all the units, I think I counted 2 that you don't see, 3 maybe that you never see. You've never seen. Even in Tyranids, like we have tons of data sheets, so many data sheets, but many of them do make the table. So the thing is, they've said it's balance, it's not excitement. And you might be shaking your head going, oh, well, that's not good for me. I don't enjoy my games. I want to use all my models and etc. And rightly so, right? But here's the thing: I've been reading the Black Legion books. I'm going to give you is it an allegory?
Oh, nice.
No, I can't remember what it is.
Are you going back to CSM, Davey?
No. But I might have to reading these books. But KL goes off and tries to do jobs for Abaddon. And he experiences time in a different way than Abaddon experiences time. So KL might be away for 2 weeks, but he comes back and years have gone past.
Oh, I like that. That's a good narrative hook.
So we all experience the game at different speeds, right? I play 2.5 games a week and I go to 3 events every quarter-ish, right?
Yeah.
On average, I think I've worked that out at like 45 games, something like that, per Dataslate. 45 games a Dataslate. So yeah, I get bored of it, right? I get bored of playing the same units all the time.
Yeah.
More like I reckon I must be in the top 5% of people who play 40k in terms of games played, right? So what does that mean? Well, it means that the majority of people aren't playing as many games as me. Maybe they're playing 1 a month, 2 a month, etc.
Yep.
So if you're going in every quarter and throwing points around, right? And that's what it would be, throwing points around, or them up 5, them down 5. These people who only play, and these will be the majority of people, won't get to get used to their list or get any rhythm going, or it may ruin their garage hammer games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are probably the majority of GW customers, so they're experiencing the game much slower than us 4 on here and many of the people watching this. So in the end of the day, they're gonna they might not care that things got 5 points, 10 points, 50 points.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you're GW, are you risking it?
Yeah.
No, right? I don't think you are. So I think that's the challenge you have, right? And I think that's the challenge they have, if I was to be generous. Now, on the flip side, what the fuck is that Warrior Prime? I have such a cool thumbnail and video title.
You do.
Ready to go.
You do.
And then they dropped it at 85
All
points.
you needed was the unit.
I can't in good conscience release it. And the thing is, everything's been said about this Dataslate, realistically, right? If you watch content, you'll have seen a lot of stuff has been said. And I can't help but vouch for Jack Tight's wonderful articulation of the situation on yesterday's lunchtime show. So I recommend you listen to that.
I've not watched it. Do you mind TLDRing it for me?
Oh, God. No, he just does a really good job, Tom. Like, it's just... Chris might be able to do it better, but essentially...
Live stream it now.
Yeah. Well, go and watch it after you've watched this. But it's really, he just encapsulates it really, really well. I have heard a lot of people say, well, Necrons, why have Necrons got all these changes and stuff like that? Is it because they all play Necrons? It's like, well, I don't think so. I think those playtesters probably have, the balance team probably have the time to do all this, but it probably also needs to go through the rules team, who are most likely busy. Mm-hmm. But likewise, they should have planned for this, right? Yeah. If you're a company, you say, right, we need this resource at this time to make sure this happens. Otherwise, knobhead content creators like us are going to get online, start gobbing off about it.
We absolutely
what a great way to build up to 11th. Then everyone just saying how shit it is.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's my take. That's my top line. Sorry about that.
I think everyone here has been pretty reasonable. I think it feels like there's a couple of different conversations there. There is the state of the meta that has been, in essence, allowed to continue, which I think we'll talk about in a minute. I think it's a type of meta that is not everyone's favourite. I think that's probably part of the issue, is that there's a stodginess to some of the top armies in the game, and sort of certain aspects in terms of rules that make them quite frustrating as well. And it doesn't feel like this is going to move the needle on most armies being able to deal with those. So we can think about those in a minute. But then I think there's also a slight have or have not situation of some armies are getting like a character or a new thing or a new detachment or whatever to sort of see them over the line. And that at the moment also doesn't appear to be equally distributed in terms of what those rules are, what those characters are like. And that there's an element of that. It feels like there's going to be a few haves that get something awesome that unlocks a new set of play. And we think examples would include what I think the Tau one's very exciting. I think the Necrons one was obviously very exciting. Huron is obviously very exciting. And then you have 110-point Berserker character for the Votan. Doesn't massively change anything for Votan. It's another slow man that will die. The Mid Warrior.
He joins, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, exactly that. So
I tell you what, man, I'd rather be Votan than like Custodes right now, though. Like, imagine being a Custodes player in 10th edition. Good God! Like, talk
Yeah, that
about
is
like
true.
getting shit on the whole edition. Like,
We
That
just
is
play Land
totally
Raiders
true.
and however
But
many.
now they've got the Land Raiders, Jack. They've got that. That's a
you
really
sure do.
fucking
You sure can run 3 of one data sheet and 5 of another, and that's your list. That seems really fun and interesting.
It's a good list, but yeah, I agree.
I mean, imagine having what is one of the most hated lists at the start of the edition, getting nerfed to hell with your codex, then getting like a character with a melter gun instead of his normal bolter, and that's all you get. And then the entire edition goes by. None of your detachments are particularly good.
Yeah.
None of your, you don't really get anything new. And then right at the end, don't worry, guys, you get to be relevant in the meta again by running 3 Land Raiders and as many guard as you can literally physically fit in your list. Cool.
Yeah.
Maybe
Have
that's
fun.
the reason 10's been better than 9th.
Maybe because Custodians are having a bad time. Yeah.
As a general rule, yeah, anything that involves Custodians being good doesn't get my vote. But and I think there's an internal balance thing where I think certain armies have never really had good internal balance in the edition, and I think it's looking like time is running out for anything to happen for those before they try again. In the main, they've served armies really well, and they've gone back to armies a lot. But actually, certain ones, Custodians are one, Grey Knights stand out as another, where they've never really gone back and moved the needle properly on them. I'm trying to think who else has been underserved. Those are the 2 standouts for me. GSC, I think GSC have been they're just bimbling away with the same set of rules they've had for about a year now, really. So there's not a massive amount of change there. Oh, sorry?
Orks? Did you say Orks?
Orks, yeah, I think probably.
Well, the fun war DACA time and the fun.
Yeah, that's it. They had their obligatory shoot everyone to death moment.
Yeah, just their little phase, their emo phase.
Onanada in the chat says Dark Angels are quite boring to play, and I fully agree.
Yeah, been there, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, fully agree with that.
I disagree. I think the Lion's dead cool.
I am enjoying watching the turn 1 send of the Lion on every table at the moment. It is a good time.
You want to talk boring, you talk Grey Knights.
Yeah, Grey Knights is very
brutal.
Why? Grey Knights are great fun.
Yeah.
Are they?
When they kill stuff, they're fun.
Yeah, but they don't. That's the problem.
Yeah, I like the teleport. The teleporting's fun. And Mr. Deimos is fun, right? It's like the most fun you can have with the strat.
I'm going to pick through the chat a little bit for a second, and then we will move it along to some other build-out thoughts for you guys. What have we got? We have got Bustodon agrees with that charitable take that maybe they're pouring resources into 11th design. I would assume that absolutely is what we're going on. There's some love for Twin Lance and some people saying that no one should play them, but they volunteered to play them. Uriel Ventures is in the chat, and I'm very intrigued to see what he thinks about the nerfs. He doesn't understand why everyone thinks they should be more done. Bigger changes. He'd rather see incremental changes. This slate meant redoing everything, Ultramarines, but I agree with no sweeping changes. It's not an unreasonable take. If incremental change is being applied all across lots of different armies, then perhaps that is a reasonable stance. I think Bustodon's listing lots of changes they'd like to have seen. Frankly, some of that sounds like maybe new edition stuff. No rerolls for indirect, no embark out of phase, no improved oath for ultras. There is an element of, if you're going to make big changes to core mechanics, you might as well save that so that you have talking points for your launch in 3 months' time, right? There's no point giving those sorts of things away up front. It is the embarking out of phase thing, playing against Ultramarines and Custodes who are doing more nonsense with transports than Eldar, that doesn't make me happy. That makes me very cross. I dislike this. This is an annoying thing. I do hope it does go away. What else have we got? Catan did lose some of their defensive rules. Lord Cypher says the game's never going to be balanced. I think we had a podcast question to that effect, so we'll come back to that as well. And I think there are some supporting the idea that it should be an excitement data slate.
I think I think next edition, I won't be surprised if they implement that. And they say, okay, we need to up it again, and we make it an excitement data slate.
But
I'm not going to call it that.
If we take a moment, is it fair to say we've had a lot of really interesting data slates this edition? Is that a reasonable assessment? What do you guys think? If we zoom out now and look at the slates we've had, we've surely had a lot more that have been quite disruptive and turbulent and ambitious than ones that are not. Overall.
I think we've had about a third, which are just nothing.
Okay.
I think we've had
Yep, that's
another third, which are, oh god, we've broken something horribly. We need to fix this.
Yeah.
And then that normally takes a couple of attempts.
Yep.
And then there's like one third that are actually interesting and switch things up. And
Mm-hmm.
then mostly that because something interesting gets introduced to the game, like those attachments they were adding in on the data slates. But
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
generally how that ends up happening.
I think I buy that. I buy that ratio, and I would say the origins of slates in 8th and their entrenchment in 9th was pretty much just the oh god we broke something we need to kneecap it variety, right? That was the only real form they took in those editions most of the time. So I suppose the juicing things up and adding variety type of slate, which has been a more common feature of this edition, that's brought armies back to life even despite their books, blah blah blah. I quite like that we've had a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those, isn't it, where it's hard. I feel like I do still feel pretty well served, but this slate was definitely a non-starter.
So is the one before it, and the one before that. Like the last 3 slates.
What happened in the one before it? I forget now.
Exactly.
There was the one that made Admech good.
There was the one that just randomly dropped the points on a bunch of Blood Angels, which in the end didn't actually do anything.
Yeah.
Blood Angels always get attention. They always do every time. Because they got a little gimme in this one, right?
Yeah, like who had Blade Guard getting Sound Priest like on their
very specific request, right?
Yeah, so this is an interesting thing. We've got the weird thing about this. This is an outlier data slate because there's only 3 months left, right? So you can never say with this data slate, well, it's almost like your instant go-to is, what's the point? There's only 3 months left. I've just done some quick maths on my phone, and I estimated, so that Votan change, Tom, what does that Votan change do in a sentence? In the attachment?
Oh, the Brandfast change.
What's it do?
It means, in essence, I think the little get out of transport strat was locked to one of the 2 stages in which Votan live their lives, depending on how many yield points they have. It is no longer locked, so you can do it all the time, basically.
Great. So if we go back to the start of the year, we've played about 82,000 games, right? In this meta, right? Of that, if you divide that by 5, just for argument's sake, into GTs, right? Then you divide that by how many people played Votan. Mm-hmm. So this affects 131 players over a 3-month period, which is about 11 players a week.
Wow.
Now, they're Votan players, so then I think my maths could be wrong.
They also don't play Brandfast either.
And they don't play, so maybe half of them go to Brandfast, right? 5 players a week.
Maybe.
And then if those 5 players use the strat once or twice,
I love this.
that strat is essentially getting used 10 times a week across the world.
That's pretty
crazy. Decided to change that.
I love that.
Right?
It's a very odd thing to have picked out versus other things. I have to agree on that. And that, I think that's the weird thing with this slate is that there's those little snippets of attention, and some of them are not on the meta or the top armies. There's a couple of little tiny things, and then the majority of it is not really any attention at all.
Can I have a quick rant here? I've been holding this back.
I'd love you to have a rant, Jack. Yeah. So don't forget, I've got your Twin Lance anecdote queued as well at some point.
So something about this edition that's really bothered me is they came into it and they were saying that they were going to make like I don't think it was specifically said, but it was kind of like the what we were sold on is there was going to be a more balanced edition, right?
Yes.
There's more thought put into the game for that purpose. And it really frustrates me how it seems that Games Workshop have basically put the minimum amount of effort and lip service towards that they can possibly get away with, and claim they're still doing that. And that just really frustrates me because there's so many things in this edition where you can see they've looked at something that, right, we're going to try and make this a bit more balanced. We're going to try and actively make things crazy. We've tried to get rid of codex creep, but there's certain bits where they just couldn't control themselves, and they felt the need to just break the game in certain points, right? What I mean by this is lots and lots of codexes got worse with their codex than they were with their index.
Yeah,
right?
A lot of armies did.
Just a few examples, right? Admech, famously, right? Well, been bad in index anyway, but got worse in their codex. Custodes, Tau, Drukari, good God.
Drukari definitely did, yeah.
GSC. Like, there's so many factions that just were worse off, right? Just had worse versions of rules they had in index, or nerfs to data sheets and stuff like that. And that's fine, right? That's fine if you're bringing stuff down so you can build it back up later. So you can have these like quarterly data sheets, and you can tweak things if you have more of a living rule set, which we don't have realistically right now. We could have that. We have the infrastructure to have that with the app. We don't currently do it, which is frustrating, but I'm not going to go into that now. The thing that really annoys me is when they just can't stop themselves from releasing these insanely broken codexes. The big three are the Eldari Sisters and Death Guard.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think there's other codexes that are good, but I think that those three stand like apart from the others, and like they're mechanically just far and away above everything else.
Yeah.
And it annoys me how they go like 70 to 80% of the way to what they want to do and what they say they're going to do, but they just like, you can see under the surface they're not putting the full effort in towards it. And it just really frustrates me, because we're so close and it could so easily be done. Like, relative, I know using the term easy is always a bad idea, but it could so easily be pushed over the line and get it to this place that they claim they want it to be, and yet they keep sabotaging themselves seemingly at every corner by releasing some of this absolutely ridiculous stuff. If the common theory that goes around is that the people that write the rules are not the same as the people that balance the rules. That's a completely insane way to work on this. I'm sorry. Like, that is,
I call that out as well. Yeah, I think it's
completely ridiculous. Like that. Like, I don't. I mean, people will say, they just make things to sell, right? They make things broken to sell them, which is of course ridiculous. But I could believe that they don't nerf things that release broken because they don't want to hurt the sales of it. I could believe that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like they're so close to greatness on a lot of this stuff, and it just really hurts to see them fall down at the last hurdle. And it's like part of the reason that I think this meta is upsetting to people is that it's because it's Necrons that are good again. For like the fifth time, they're a huge meta threat in this edition. And like, there are so many factions that haven't even had a look in, right?
Well, you didn't
and
actually list them in your broken books, but they absolutely should have been in that cluster you put. I
here's
think
the
they
thing.
deserve their place more than Sisters do.
Here's the thing: Necrons got a bunch of nerfs from their index. Their codex is, if you were trying to run an index list in their codex, that was way worse. They absolutely nuked the playstyle of the index. It just so happens they released things like wraiths, right, which kind of shored up the rest of the codex, and there was a couple of other changes here and there that kind of let you get around it. But it's quite a well internally balanced codex. As Davey said earlier, there's only a couple of data sheets that don't ever get used.
Almost every detachment Necrons has been top tier competitive at some stage this edition.
Yeah, exactly. But there's lots of books that haven't had that at all, right?
No, I haven't had one.
You look at I mean, Custodians and GSE are ones that I constantly bring up, but I mean, both the Night Codexes, I think their internal balance is atrocious. The Ork Codex is pretty bad. The Drukhari book is pretty bad.
It's woeful.
The Admech book is really bad. The Grey Knights book is really bad. A lot of them are just so many data sheets you will just never see. There are some books that have really good detachments, but really bad data sheets. So like Tau, right? There's detachments that have they're really, really good data sheets, but really, really bad detachments. Like Guard. Guard is a good example of that, right? Their detachments are kind of mediocre, but their data sheets are really, really good, so it makes up for that.
And they have so many different versions of the same thing that whenever you put one away, a different thing pops up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a real shame to see that, especially with these balanced data slates, they don't do more for internal balance, because there is no real internal balance being done across any of these data slates at any point, realistically, which is a huge shame. They kind of just like throw these books out, and then whatever is good at the start is basically good at the end, and that just doesn't really change throughout the entire edition, which is a massive shame. And I would really like to see more of that because
Can we make that link then? Is it fair to? I think the internal balance issue, which I think you're right, is what has not been addressed at all in this slate. Is that what excitement really means, Davey, for a player? You were talking about excitement earlier on. Is addressing internal balance and creating new options
No,
for armies?
I don't think it is.
Is that the key? You don't think it is?
I don't think it is. And the reason why I don't think it is again, you've said Necrons, right? Great example. Everything gets played. Nearly everything. I think like 2 or 3 data sheets.
Almost every single unit, yeah.
Yeah. And I think if I went through all lists for Tyranids over a month, things would get played, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things do make the table. What people want is something to be a little bit better. So, here's my unit that I'm building around for the next 3 months because it's going to be awesome, right? Like, a great, like a little example, Pyrovores, right? Pyrovores, 40 points, like idiot, comes in unit to 3 or unit to 1. 1d6 plus 1 shots in a flamer. They could turn that. They could say, okay, quick rule edit, it's 2d6 now. And all of a sudden, every Tyranid player is like, right, I need to make assimilation swarm work because this is a 66 flamer shot or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's just a little example of what I'm trying to get at here, where is what people want is a new build around, a new inspiration to take a detachment.
Yeah.
I don't think people want balance because yes, you get to use all your toys, but something's going to be better, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people want is there's something to be better, to be something else for a bit. I don't want to play Invasion Fleet anymore. I really don't. I would love to play Simulation Swarm or another detachment. Warrior Bioform Onslaught would be amazing. That would have happened if this Prime came out, was powerful. Everyone would have went, great, I get to play a new detachment. And as it happens, it doesn't even have the keyword. And by the way, did you know the Wing Tyranid Prime has lost the sustain keyword, the sustain ability for his unit from the app? So that's been removed. I think so. Yeah, that would be my take on it. But on the Necron point, I do think there's an angle here because if you look, they did change Victrix Guard 3 times over a 9-week period or something, right?
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yeah. Why haven't they done that with Titan? I think it's because movement shenanigans are much more oppressive to more casual players than stat checks.
Yeah.
Because your average casual player, or your average person, they're not going to take more than 2 Titans. That's crazy, right? They'll take 2. And if you speak to most people, most optimistic people, and you tell them about Satan or is a Satan good or whatever, people think they have a chance. They go, maybe I can get it. A stat check, maybe if I build around it, I can maybe do it. So then people don't complain as much about it.
Yeah.
I think people have complained more about the Ultramarines more than Satan. People are not happy with it, but they don't write to GW or smash it to pieces with it as much as the Victrix Guard. My humble opinion.
Yeah, I do agree with you because if you think about 2 less experienced players playing against each other, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to be with your Victrix, you're like, I can do this, I can move now, I can Blood Surge now, I can get into combat with you now. The other player's going to be like, you can do what? You can do this? What? Yeah. I didn't know you could do that. But conversely, with the Necrons, it's like, oh, wow, yeah, that's hard to kill. I didn't think it was going to be that hard to kill. But I rolled my dice, and I just rolled bad, right? So it's a different kind of, gotcha, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's those feelings of when you don't know your opponent can do something and they just do it, or you walk into the rake and it hits you in the face. That feels a lot worse than I can't kill something, right? So
absolutely, and that bodes well for how to balance.
Yeah, I think different types of players find those different types of issues. Stat checks frustrate me a lot more than clever rules. I don't mind clever rules. I like clever rules.
But you know your rules, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone knows all the rules of everything.
And I think that's it. It's at the level at which it's served. I think you're completely right in that sense. And we're seeing, with Necrons, I suppose one thing it behooves us to do is think about what the competitive meta actually looks like going forwards for the next few months. And I think Necrons continue to be very, very dominant, perhaps slide a bit more into Gatekeeper because people will gradually figure out their damage pass through Catan, I think, at the end of the day, and top players are already doing that. Marines seem to be all in on Ultramarines and have been for a while, and that seems to stay that way. The Land Raiders thing keeps happening. What else keeps happening? Up top of the game. What else have we got? Those are the big outliers at this stage. I think Guard, the adjustments to Guard kind of feel okay. I actually think
They
probably
don't really do anything impactful.
Yeah,
To
I
be
don't
honest, they
like-
remain as good as they were.
But
My
in this,
card list didn't
yeah,
change.
they
So I was
are.
15 points under.
They're not putting up oppressive numbers in quite the same way that some of the others are.
Yeah, it's because guard is strong in a fair way, right?
Yeah.
They're not doing movement shenanigans. They're not like doing weird mechanical stuff. They just have good data sheets and they have a lot of OC and they have a lot of wounds, right? They just have
Yeah.
probably an extra unit than they should. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why they're too good, which is it doesn't feel oppressive in the way that they're strong.
Yeah.
But they are very strong.
And I think it's a moving meta then as well in terms of CSM. People are still only just really getting their teeth into all the new CSM stuff. There's loads of exciting stuff in that. I think there's lots of really strong builds in that. I think Tau have been plugging away very solidly for ages, but the Twin Lance gives them that bit of dishonesty that I think they probably lacked a bit. So now they have some nonsense to add to just having good stuff on the board and good guns and good speed.
Yeah, I think something to keep in mind with Tau is I think on one hand it's very easy to look at it and say, oh, they've got one data sheet, maybe that's like one good data sheet extra, maybe that's not going to put them over the top. But that data sheet realistically is worth 250 points probably.
Yeah.
So they're actually getting like 100 points extra in their list.
Yeah.
So
it's just the way it opens up plays for them, I think, is also the big thing. Because we've talked about Tau a lot on this show, right? But their basic issue on a lot of terrain sets is just that they are relatively linear and they do struggle to dig things out and they don't have that extra bit of bullshit that some armies have and they don't like those kinds. And this gives you a way of tipping the scales back on that front. And then when you've got something that's forcing you to play, which is what this does, then you're playing against an army that has very, very good output and a lot of stuff. And then that's a tough situation, right? So I think Tau do come out of this in a really nice spot. I think, but I can't quite call it vis-a-vis everything else out there whether that actually puts them up in contention or not.
My opinion right now is that they're a top 5 faction.
That's very reasonable, and those armies I was outlining. I think that's kind of the meta you get now is a sort of 5, maybe a 6, where you've got Crons, Marines, Custodes, Guard, Tau, all feel very, very dominant. And that's a lot of just very board control, shooty type armies in the main.
T-Sun's in a strong spot. Right?
Yeah, I think T-Suns are.
For quite a while and they haven't been touched either. You got people like Sacco who's going back to T-Suns now.
Yeah.
So I think you might see some, as people try to explore ways to make the game more interesting, right? Rather than just taking Marines or the Necromorrow brick or whatever, you might well see some people some of the top players try and experiment with other solutions. And I think T-Suns could be one just because they're so good at killing one or two hard targets.
They've
now got the lack of predictability of the spells, which hurts.
Yeah. I think T-Suns are one of those armies, and I think there's a few. And actually, I'd put the good old GSC among this, actually, as there are armies which will have a decent game into some of these. And so they'll look all right and they'll do all right on that basis. But I think in the rock, paper, scissors world of the whole spectrum of armies in the game, they're not so strong that they'll get through all of those games. You know, it's like T-Suns isn't going to suddenly undo all its bad games, just as GSC won't. But they might have enough juice into those top armies to actually be popping up at the top of the game enough. And then it's new releases, and it's like we know there's stuff for CSM coming. CSM already look good. Then
more Marine stuff got announced.
They're coming in. There's more Marine stuff coming. There is AdMech stuff coming.
Another Space Marine detachment, man.
Yeah. Which people won't use.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not Gladius. Right?
I like that the one that finally supplanted Gladius amongst at least some players is the one that just lets you be more of a certain type of Gladius. In a different way. What about second Gladius?
Gladius.
Yeah. And I think you basically then just have stat checks and board control shooting as your main prevailing styles. The melee push is having a rough time. Things like your Emperor's Children and World Eaters and Orks are all currently in the bin a little bit.
That's the saddest thing about it, I think. But that's where the Hellbrute comes in, right? It just goes in again power and
and then I think and this is obviously personal biases, but your cutesy, tricksy bullshit armies are also having a bit of a rough time. Partly because all their bullshit rules are in the hands of all the armies that are beating them because they have all those rules, they have all that jank, but also they're tougher. They've got more stuff. It's playing against a CSM horde with a Vector is harder than playing against T3Ls with a Vector at the end of the day, and Marines victories with a Vector again. You've got kind of the design space of certain armies doesn't exist enough, I don't think, in the game at this second.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing I was going to say. I think one of the reasons perhaps the needle hasn't moved too much on some of our top armies is because they need them as a foil against whatever else is going to come out before the end of the edition, right? If you have other strong things land hot, if you've weakened those armies and now you're not doing any balance until 11th, then those things come out and just stamp over everything. And you do sometimes get that with their release cycle where it feels like they're releasing Cobras to fight, Mongoose to fight, whatever, and they kind of go around in a circle, right?
I don't think they put that much thought into it.
We'll see. We will see. I think sometimes they do.
I think that's kind of like a natural progression if you just keep releasing stuff that's ridiculously broken. That is going to be each other. That's the natural progression of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very fair. So just to shout out a few more from the chat, we've seen Buster Dawn says at Windsor we definitely saw Crons suffer from people taking for them. Yeah, I categorically think Crons is a statue that you can beat, and armies can beat. They don't do it all the time, but you definitely can. Chris says what worries me most is trying to understand what data GW is looking at to try and balance the game. If any, feels like they're looking at something different to everyone else. Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, there's a probably related conversation to have about 40k stats at some stage, but stats have looked odd. Like the stats we draw on a lot of this stuff for have looked odd the last 6 months or so. I don't know. That stuff hasn't given us as clear stories at times as we'd like.
I mean, early on in the edition, they did say that they used RTT data, which, as far as I'm aware, no like big popular like stats place uses RTT data. StatCheck doesn't. Hupper doesn't. Meta Mondays, I don't think does either. So I can understand why it might look different to what we are used to seeing.
Yeah, for sure.
I was surprised if they had a panel as well of more casual gamers. Just a panel that
they may do. Yeah,
it's called their actual rule stuff.
Vicious, absolutely vicious. And I guess the response, the options then are, people get creative and try different things, but that may not actually be tip top of the game at the moment. You can do something interesting, but ultimately it's not going to work all the time. Or people just lean really hard into 4 or 5 armies, and it looks very, very samey from now up until the summer, right? And you could have just Ultramarines winning every big UK event for 3 months, or maybe there's good enough solutions to that to be found amongst other lists. I'm not sure.
It's only going to be 3 months at worst.
Well, that's it. Yeah, as I say, from where I'm standing, it doesn't change my life all that much at this point. I think new edition is going to be very interesting. I think I'd have liked to see a big injection of life into a bunch of other armies before the end. There may yet still be time for that. I'm not sure. I don't know if the AdMech bits and the CSM bits, if that's the end of what they're putting out before we are done or what.
I think there's one more set of
the army would get a bit of a look, right? Again, with the GSC hat on, I'm like, well, GSC haven't had anything, but I'd love them to get something before the end. That'd be nice.
Or another character, that'd be nice.
Grey Knights feel like, another fucking 3-wound idiot to die, maybe blow themselves up. Grey Knights feel like they have to get something.
Drago's surely
going to come back. I was like, if everyone's getting a character and some juice, there's still a few armies to get those sorts of things ticked off, right?
So there is an angle with this, Tom, actually. You brought up a good point there in that if they make... So some people are saying, why don't they just explode the rules for the last 3 months and let everyone have a laugh?
Yeah.
Right? The problem with that is if everyone goes out and spends money on models now, then the new edition comes out.
Yeah.
What they want to be able to do is to say this was the biggest edition ever.
Yeah.
Spend all their money now and then actually can't really afford it later, or even if they spent 10% less than they would have had they not spent money now, they then can't say it's the biggest edition ever, or the biggest launch ever, the biggest first month ever, most engaged, most buyers, all that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff they want to say, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is an angle where that is true. Of course, a lot of us would buy models now and buy models then as well. But we're talking casual, right? Casual, like where the 5%, the small 5% of people, the casuals don't necessarily want to spend all that money.
Maybe not.
I'm going to come in with a hot take here. I don't think that these casual people exist to anywhere near the degree that people talk about. I think in the early 2000s, 100%. I think even in the early 2010s, definitely. I think in 2026, I think Games Workshop has become. Is it the biggest British company now? Like it's huge.
It's doing pretty well. I think it's them and then us, pretty much.
It's huge. Like it's one of the biggest name brands that you can find on the high street. It's one of the biggest success stories in British business. You can go down the street, everyone knows what it is, right? Everyone knows what Warhammer is, right? Even if they don't play it, they know, oh, this Warhammer shop, it's the model thing. People know what it is.
Yeah, people do genuinely know what it is now.
And you go into any gaming store, there are gaming stores are thriving in ways that they haven't in the past 10 years, right? All over the country. And I don't believe that the majority of people are playing with these models. People can collect models on their own, that's fine. I don't think people are just in a small group of 2 or 3 people playing in basements anymore in 2026.
Yeah, I think you're pretty right.
I think some people probably do. I think we're talking like, I don't know, 30% maybe. I think the majority of people that play 40k nowadays are part of communities, larger communities, where not necessarily, competitive scene, but like gaming stores and clubs and stuff like that. I think that's where the majority of 40k players are these days. So I'm not sure I necessarily buy the argument that this secret silent majority that only plays in garages exists. That's my opinion, though. I have no proof to back that up.
Go on
with
then,
the
David.
power of math.
Matt.
Go ahead.
82,000 games in the last 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
If we then cut that down to the UK, that's 13,900 competitive games of 40k in the last 3 months. We divide that by 5 just for argument's sake, as by GTs. That's essentially 2,782 people going to GTs. Now, not all of them will be individuals, but let's say they are. 2,800 odd people propping up Games Workshop.
No, not at all. But I wouldn't say the competitive scene is necessarily doing that, right? I just think there's a lot of people out there that are vocal online, that are in game stores and doing stuff like that, are part of communities. Not necessarily, but they're not all going to be people who are inputting data on apps and going to competitive tournaments and stuff like that. I don't think the competitive scene is the majority of 40k by any means. I think you're looking at like 20% at absolute most if you're being very generous to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we're looking at like, competitive scene, the people that we know as being 5% of 40k. I just don't buy that in this.
That's fair.
What we're at right now, personally. Again, I have no evidence to back that up. It's just what I've seen in game stores and stuff like that and online. That's just me.
Are you a casual? Let us know. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you.
They won't. They won't. They're invisible. No one has ever heard of them or sees them.
Tell us your ways. Tell us your ways. Bubblebeard says, but aren't those people who are playing at their local gaming stores still your casual player? The basement has just turned into the gaming cafe. It's interesting.
But those people count, right? I think people worry about the majority of 40k players being people that no one ever sees or hears from or say anything online or stats counting. And I that doesn't sound realistic to me personally.
Yeah, it's funny. I've got a friend from school that I was best mates with at school. We started Warhammer together, and then we both came back to the hobby in our 30s. And he plays literally Garage Hammer with his 2 mates, and he has a Space Marine army. His mate has a Ork army, I want to say, but they just throw the same armies into each other week in, week out.
It's not those people don't exist,
They're not interested in it. No, totally. And I'm a sample size of 3 people. But I think they exist, man. And especially like if you think about how we got into the game, I used to play on my mate's carpet.
I did play in some garages in my time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I do think it's out there. I really do. But that's just my humblest opinion.
I played against someone like that last weekend. So, and
Don't
that's
call
a
Ben
man story, so we can go into. But no, I don't know. I find that line hard to believe these days. But
that's very fair.
There's no data. You can't get data out of it, right?
Jack, do you want to quickly tell us your Twin Lance anecdote before I forget to ask you?
Okay, so I played against my friend the other day, and so he doesn't play very much 40k. He plays like once every 3 months or so. Last time he played, I was playing Tau still. I didn't have my Garden army, and he was like, "Oh, I heard there's a new Tau model. You can be using it." And I was like, I don't know, man. Like mine's not built on Paint here, so I'd have to proxy it, and like it's not really good for a casual game anyway. It's like a bit over the top. And he said, no, I want to see what it does. I was like, I've been prepping my list because he lost to my Tau last time we played, and he's like, I've been prepping my list. I reckon because he's like built to counter my Tau at this point, and he's like, no, I reckon I can get better of you. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, just do it, bring it. I want to see it. I'm like, okay, you asked for this. I accept no responsibility. So in this game, what happened? We're playing Take and Hold on the UKTC terrain. Playing UKTC even as a casual player. Okay, so he goes first. He stages some stuff. He moves some stuff up into the side ruins and the middle ruins. All good. My turn. I move forward. I move the Twin Lances within 6 inches of the middle. So in his next turn, if he tries to, if he does just lets me, then I can just put those Twin Lances in the middle on my turn 3, and I can score.
Phantasm. Yeah,
exactly. Basically, Phantasm. So in his turn, he gets Area Denial and Secure. And he's like, okay, and I've left my Twin Lance in like a reasonable track. Sorry, he's playing Blood Angels, right?
Yeah,
he's got like he's got like six. He's got 6 Sanguinary Guard and Dante. I think it's Dante. He's got the 6 Blade Guard with the Apothecary guy. He's trying that. He's got some Death Guard in Rhino with a chaplain of some sort, I think. And then he's got a bunch of scoring bits. So he jumps over Dante, and I'm like, okay, we'll see what you get. He rolls a 6 for his advance. He pops the advance in charge. We measure the charge to 7. I say, no, it's an 8 because I'm Twin Lance. And he's like, okay, no worries. I'm like, you also need a battle shock test. No problem. Rolls a 4. He fails it. Rolls his charge, fails it. I'll CP reroll it. No, you won't because you're battle shock.
Yep.
He fails his charge. Oh no. I move forward with the Twin Lance. I get rid of his area denial and take away one of his secure. So 8 points swing to me. Plus I get 5 more primary in that turn.
And a free Dante kill.
Yes. Because the Twin Lance then move forward and sit on the little flat 2x7 terrain piece. They're like 1 inch away from Dante, and they're close to like this unit of scouts that was doing secure in the middle. Right? They put their pistols into the scouts, kill the scouts. They put all their other guns into Dante 6 and Dante, kill Dante and all of the scouts. Awesome. They then charge a unit of infractors and kill like 4 of them. They kill 4 of them. Sorry?
What? You said infract.
Another marine thing. Don't worry. It's something marine is the point.
The one that throw the mine.
In curses.
Yeah.
So we kill them down to 1. We pile in. We then fall back 10 inches onto his home objective. He's stretched out and got 1 infiltrate on his home objective because he doesn't want my crisis suits to deep strike in. So I take his home objective off of him. Next turn, he jumps out the big 10-man blob of Death Company, and he comes over to me. He's like, right, we're going to charge in there. And he moves his infiltrators off the objective because he wants to shoot everything into me. I'm like, are you sure you want to do that? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. I just need to put everything in the kitchen sink into them. No problem. I battle shock the Death Company, so when he charges onto me, he's not going to hold the objective. He goes in charge. He's battle shocked, so he can't use his +1 strength and AP strat. He then kills one of the Twin Lances and the other one's down to like a couple of wounds. I fall back 10 inches. He had assassination that turn as well. He doesn't get that. I fall back 10 inches. I then auto 6 advance with Montcar to go around to the other side ruin. This is the Ion guy I've got left, right? And I'm stood next to the 6 Blade Guard with the Apothecary guy. I shoot at short range. I kill 4 of them. And then I move onto the objective in my turn, and I get a secure on him because I had the +1 OC from the enhancement of Montcar. It was like a 38-point swing, and it killed like 5 units.
Yeah.
And then he just walked out and grenaded me and killed me. But it was absolutely insane.
I guess the question is, was it worth an edition playing Tau to get that story, Jack? Was it all
probably? Yeah, it was really fun for me.
It sounds like it was really fun. It sounds incredibly Eldar, doesn't it? I have to say,
very Eldar.
You can't bait me with this, Tom.
I might just quickly go on Element Games now and just bosh those guys in the box.
They were very fun to use. They are completely, utterly broken. I would pay 100 points more for them.
To take it to an actual place, do we think all we need is a bit more of other armies having that at this stage? Is the issue here that we've got a few armies getting their fun, happy time with a few bonkers things? and
No.
then not enough interest for others? Is that the situation?
I think it's somewhere in the middle, right? I think Twinlands is too far.
No, I
People
don't
want
think it is. I
something.
think it's fucking hilarious. I'm so here for it. I love it.
It's-
It's so
No, but
stupid.
that's like, to be fair, that is like, you know how Titan can turn up and you lose the game because you're a 2 damage melee army,
Yeah.
right? I think there's probably games where Twinlands just beat people.
Yeah.
Right? This Blood Angels guy, like, he's just lost 5 units. It's like, well, okay, GG.
It sounds like an incarn, mate. You're going to play against it like 5 times before you know how to deal with it.
Everyone wants something to be, again, I say like build around. It's like Magic and Commander, right? Everyone wants, oh, this is cool. I'm going to try and build a deck around this.
And Tau don't have that in character terms, right? There's no character running around in Tau doing bonkers shit like that. There just isn't.
Yeah, because Farsight is terrible. Farsight should be this kind
Farsight
of
is
cool
very
character.
average.
Right?
Shadowton is just a force multiplier, so there's nothing exciting going on there. Obviously, the Kroot Lone Spear is amazing, but no one else is particularly good.
I
Rip's
understand.
like the best, but
I understand.
from a character.
Sorry, man. I understand how they got to where they got to with the Twinlands, right? They wanted to reintroduce the Fire and Fade, the classic Tau mechanic of the Fire and Fade. They also wanted to do this like aggressive combat unit, so they've kind of done the auxiliary cadre stratagem in there as well. And by combining the two of them, they've just Frankenstein something which just has no restrictions on it, and it's completely insane.
Yeah, they may not have thought about the different ways you combo those things. They may
It's just,
or they might.
It's the exact same problem we had with the special 3 Eldar Death Guard sisters, right?
Yeah.
When you just introduce a unit that has better versions of everyone else's rules, that's going to make people that have the regular version of that rule feel bad, right?
Yeah.
And there's no real reason for that their rule to be anything other than, I mean, to be honest, do they really need to have it? Probably not. They probably don't need 3 data sheet rules. They can probably afford to drop at least the shield one, right? The one that gives the battle shock and the -1 to.
Yeah, I think I'd probably that plus the others is really, really, really ridiculous, isn't it? I think
I just think they needed to pick one rather of the Fire and Fade or the move out of combat thing. And I just it looks like this looks like it was written by someone who actually likes Tau, rather than the Codex, which looks like someone who has been asked to write a Tau Codex that's not broken, right? And it's clear like they've tried to jam a bunch of stuff into it, and it's just overloaded the data sheet in my mind.
I think it's really fun though.
I don't, and for what it's worth, I saw your faces when I said that. Tau is absolutely not the only codex that's had the treatment of not being.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. But I think it's the trickery and the dishonesty of it is something they've just not had. Right, they've been very meat and potatoes really in how they approach the game. But it's just funny because they've already succeeding quite a lot as army with loads of stuff. To now go, would you also like an incarn chucked in there just to add a bit of spice on top of your massively low points, lots of stuff army? Gets really, really, really spicy really, really quickly. But maybe they'll make the top. Maybe they'll be the actual MVPs now. Maybe it's a good time to collect Tau. Maybe that's where it's going. Maybe that's where it's going. We will see.
Time to collect Kroot.
Oh, good time to collect. Yeah, exactly. They're nothing on the War Shaper.
Hey, I had a War Shaper in my life.
Cool.
You do some very fun stuff with him in auxiliary cadre. Just saying. But anyway, don't worry about it. It's fine. Okay, so that was Jack's story about the Twinlands, and it was a good story. We've had our say on the meta. I think we'll move to podcast questions because there was a few other thought sort of gatherers in there. If you in the chat have podcast questions, do fire them at us now. We would love to hear from you. Once again, thanks very much for supporting us. Please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment under the video if you haven't already. Been amazing to have so many of you in today.
We did also get that one super chat about Black Templars. I don't know if you want to cover.
Oh,
that.
we did, yes. So let's have a look at that. That was goodness.
Love Black Templars.
Another. Celebrating 9 months of membership. Congratulations. Says next edition Ultramarines get +2 to wound. Yeah, that seems fine. As Azuma Kazuma says playing my Templars feels really shy at the moment. Being nerfed the whole effing edition. Any words for the coolest Space Marines? Yeah, just in a weird spot. Templars just been a weird spot. They don't quite know what to do with them. They've got like a Horde list lurking in there. They've got like a Gladius list. The problem is there's a better Gladius to be played. They're not bad. I think Templars are very good. I coach Alex.
Just won our singles event probably one of the most stacked singles events there's been. And he won the whole thing. He beat Naz on it. Right? That horde list with
The horde list is legit. It's
boys.
just probably not what you thought of you playing when you were wanting to run Black Templars, right? They're just
60 and Bastion. Check it out if you haven't already.
Yeah, but Bastion Horde is definitely good, and Gladius Black Templars is still a really strong list. It's just that there are other Marine variants that outclass it, but they have been, again, they're one of those armies a bit like World Eaters where it feels like they're always keeping quite a keen eye on them, and they like kneecap them again for no reason, just in case like they're just worried they're going to suddenly pop off, so they just get them again. So they get a bit of harsh treatment in the old Templar.
It's also tough because Blood Angels and Space Wolves are the other melee factions. One of them's fast, one of them's savage, or
yeah,
one of them.
One of them's got a lot of 4-up invuns. One of them's fast. Dark Angels are boring. They've all got their own space. And Templars are ultimately the most xenophobic. That's their selling point.
I feel like the
like Reform. Black Templars are the Reform.
Mirage is running 200 Reform.
Hellbrecht has got a whole new light for me. Yeah. I do think that the Templars came out in a very much a low point in like Codex design space. When you look at what came out around that time,
yeah, it's fair.
Looking at like Grey Knights, Thousand Suns, obviously the Black Templars.
Yeah, they're not. None of those are particularly inspiring books, has to be said.
There was one other one that I looked at. I was like, wow, that's pretty lame. I think both the Knights books are kind of uninspired.
Yeah,
there's lots of them that came out around that time. Grey Knights, I think Grey Knights. Anyway, they were just like a bit naff. Like there wasn't much creativity going on in those books. Or there was some. It just wasn't a lot of it. They were just the very thin books. So yeah, it's kind of.
If you look at it at the moment, I think, and this is actually a related point, I suppose, that I was thinking I would make. I probably have made it in some form or another. It's just all the stuff has all the rules laid onto it to the point there's no difference between them. Like if you think about what Templars have, a good blood surge. They have -1 to wound. They have big, hoardy, stacky, checky bricks. It's just that there's like 5 other top armies doing that. So it's not. It doesn't set them apart in any way because all of these rules have been layered onto all of these armies. So it's just got to the point where they're all doing that. Chuck and Ori shoutouts out. Blood Angels Codex wasn't good. Yeah, that's fair. Rage Curse was cool though.
Another one nerfed from Index.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. All right, we're going to do some podcast questions. Might be asked, will there be a Southern 6++ GT this year? And is there a rough date so I can book it off work? Chris?
We're getting quite a lot of those questions at the moment.
Yes.
Yes, there will be a Southern one. No, we have no idea where it is. When
we don't know where, we don't know what, we don't know who, we don't know how, but it will happen.
It will happen, we promise.
It will happen.
Negotiations ongoing.
Like everything we do, it will happen whether we understand it or not. And that will be absolutely fine. Okay.
Do you have 6+ RTT happening on the 29th of August in Peterborough?
Ooh, there you go.
But obviously it's going to be new edition, probably. So we don't know terrain. We just know the location and
could be anything
that it's happening there on that date. So
like every faction got their own terrain piece in 11th edition. Wouldn't that be cool?
Wouldn't it just for all
really fun.
Like Sigma. You could take it for free and hand it out like army-wide buffs.
Here's my warp portal.
I either want that or what I want is endless spells. I want Psychers casting like models. I want model spells like Sigma flying around, eating shit. I think Magnus summons a giant Pac-Man made of fire and it eats shit.
I'm there.
I think that would be awesome. G-Dubs, if you're listening, it's not too late.
Just say we'll probably announce more details on the RTT as and when we have them.
Yeah, we'll promote all that good stuff, and yeah, that's obviously quite a ways away. But yeah, there will be plenty of events, and yeah, we're excited to see what Jack does in Peterborough as well. We've got Juicy who says there seems to be a lot of players who played for a long time bemoaning that once you know the detachment, you know the whole list. How true do you feel that is? Do you feel as though that's an issue?
It depends on the faction entirely, right? I think. And this comes down to internal balance, right? A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to be in a Biocentric GSC list by seeing its Biocentric GSC? Yeah, probably. Do you know what's in a Retaliation cadre list by seeing its Retaliation cadre? Probably. Do you know what's in a I'm trying to think of a good example off the top of my head. Trying to find one.
He's looking
Virulent Vectorum.
Yeah, I mean there's a swing up there. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what's going to be in any particular Grey Knights list based on detachment? No, not really.
Shit.
Eldari? Not really.
No, you don't. Yeah.
Leagues of Votan? Not really. Like, I think there's a lot of factions that doesn't necessarily apply to, and I think it's more down to the internal balance of the codex a lot of the time. But
It's
some
about
of the
units,
detachments,
isn't it?
yeah, some of the detachments are like really, really heavily skewed towards certain units, and I think more often than not, that is a detriment to like the overall like building of the codex. If units are only viable in one detachment, that's bad.
I think it's quite good to be able to understand the gist of what an army's doing by just getting your head around the detachment. I think that's a solid position to be. I think that helps players who are of lower ability. I think it helps people picking up the game. And the reality is, you can and could have been playing a million different detachments across the edition if you wanted to. And if you haven't done it, you know why you haven't done it at this stage. And it will be for some set of motivations or another. I think certain factions are really, really stuck, but there's so much possibility to play so many different detachments. It's just that within the top tier of competitive, certain things are very constrained, right? But again, you always have the option of trying something different now. You absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a Wind Rider host for me is a great example. Right? No one's given Wind Rider host a prayer as an army, really, in recent times. I have only ever found it to be a really, really obnoxious and powerful thing whenever I've played it. It just is really good. Like, it doesn't maybe not got loads and loads of great games. Maybe it loses certain matches, whatever. It still felt phenomenally good whenever I've used it, and people barely play it. And that just feels like a waste to me, that you've got all these options running about and people don't really give them a proper go. We got a shout out in the chat from Mintoff, who said I need to sign up to one of these 6++ events. Is that the Mintoff I played at WTC?
Luke
Mintoff. Yes. GSC Admech. We had a very, very, very sloggy GSC versus Admech game at the end of the day in the heat. It was good. Thank you for that, Luke. I enjoyed it. I wish you'd stop shooting me with those freaking stubbers, though. Next up, we've got Spencer. Why is it so hard to balance this game, or why do GW struggle to balance this game? Not meant to be a snarky question. I'm genuinely interested in your thoughts on why GW continues struggles to achieve any kind of real balance without making some factions feel lesser or some units feel completely redundant.
Coming from a game system which focused entirely on balance to the detriment, I think, of that game overall, I don't think that balancing the game is necessarily where we want to be. I do think we want to have a regular rotation of the meta.
Yep.
And I think that doesn't happen, which is also a bad thing. I think that doesn't happen because Games Workshop thinks it can get away with not putting the resources into that for whatever reason. I would rather they put more resources into it so they are able to more successfully rotate the meta as in a more like timely fashion, either 3 months or 6 months. That's what I would prefer things to happen. But I think it's literally just a resources issue. I don't think they're putting enough into it personally.
I don't think they can verbally say they're rotating the meta, because what would happen is they'd rotate the meta and then half the community would go, oh, well, I'm going to stop playing for 3 months.
Yeah, you don't say that. You say you're balancing it, right?
Yeah.
I think balancing it is a great ambition, to North Star, so to speak. And I think that people they'll continue to try. And look, we've had the best edition for balance I think we've ever had. So
I feel that way.
It's trending up. Let's be real, right? 9th was better than 8th, 10th better than 9th. So hopefully they're going to fix it, and maybe even add the excitement part to it. They just need to understand their consumer better, their competitive consumer better, if we're to get more enjoyment out of it. They might not see the necessity to do that. We'll find out.
Yeah, I think stuff will always be strong and stuff will always be weak, and that is the nature of it. It's partly a stylistic thing about what particular things work at a particular moment in time as well. I think that always has an impact. And then also people are always discovering and finding new things, right? Like, quite a lot of the broken things were not identified correctly, and then balance didn't get them. And the Zinch chickens is a good example. That was there the whole time, and that suddenly turned up, and it just got given a little buff to see it over the line, and then it was really, really good.
Yeah, new stuff should be better, by the way. New stuff should be good. Otherwise, you wouldn't sit on the table. What point in introducing it?
Yeah, like Jack having his zipping around killing people to death with his two little suits.
Well,
That's fun. That's a fun story. I'm sorry, that's good. That's more exciting than Beret getting out of a Sagittar and trying to make a charge and failing it and dying, which is the Votan line.
But he'll be tough to 6 while he does it.
He will be tough to
He'll have a 4 up on a paint when he
He'll
does
be
it.
on a leadership 8 when you battle shock him with your twin lance as he's trying to get in as well. So he's not going to love his life. But there we are. We'll see. Next up, we have Martin, who says, "Dear Tom, is the Sanguinary Priest able to join Brave Guard veterans really that big a deal? I feel like pressure melee armies still don't do well in this meta." That was aimed at me specifically. Thank you. The way I see it is specifically those Rage Curse type lists where it's lots of flying death and then like a pivot for it, where you had the 2 Death Company Dreads was doing that job, right? Stodgy thing with 5 up, feel no pain. You can swap those out for Blade Guard bricks if you want. What do you gain by doing that? You gain not giving your opponent's anti-tank anything to do at all, because there's just not a big stupid vehicle for them to kill with their anti-tank. So that means it's more of an infantry skew, which is kind of what BA does. That's nice. And it's a proper target. 4 up invulnerable rolling saves, 5 up feel no pain is a real target. So it's just having 1 or 2 units of that to hold ground. It's actually something we've talked about with BA many times on this show, is that their basic problem is that when they cave hard. Now you have a portion of the board that does not cave. And you play that as your anchor, and then all your fast dudes do all the nonsense you need to win the game. So I think they're really nice for that. I think Rage Curse was using the Death Company Dreads for that. And I think this achieves similar results with different pros and cons, is how I feel about it, basically. So I see no reason you wouldn't try it out a couple of units. It does depend a little bit on terrain type, but that's a really fucking obnoxious unit to deal with. And Blood Angels, when played best, overload. And if you can be overloading with Death Company, who are going to have a 5 up feel no pain somewhere, and Blade Guard, who are going to have a 5 up feel no pain, that's going to give you that breakthrough Blood Angels turn that you want. Just don't invest so much into that then you don't have the speed and punch that you want. But yeah, I think they are as valid in that role as the Death Company Dread. You just have to invest a little bit more. Chris is his next question. Would you like another semi-regular lunchtime show guest? I can be on most Mondays to talk 40 if you'd like.
Today we have spoken about this, Martin. Get Martin on, and
I admire that. I admire you reaching out, Martin. Good on you.
Yeah, we'll see if you can outrun Jack Type.
To be fair, the dynamic that you and Jack have is excellent. So as it is, even without a guest. So if you don't go for that, it still works very well.
Thank you. It's quite simple. I just ask a question and Jack answers.
The dynamic Jack Knight has with anyone just is good. Let's not give Chris too much credit.
Yeah,
I will say it greatly upsets the IT person in me to have to look at all your in their tabs every single time.
and this thing. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Share window or share. Yeah. Get a second screen, Chris.
If you just share the tab, then when you on BCP you open this, it opens up new tabs. So that's why I just share the window.
Okay.
There you go. Next question, John C. Do you think that the nerfs to the top 4 factions are sufficient to send top players to other factions, thus bringing down the win rate? Or will they
Only through boredom.
Or will they persist with slightly worse list and the win rates stay high? Your two approaches are basically, you can do what Innis is doing, which is cute shit, and he's having a good time doing cute shit with his Death Watch. Or you can do what Gaylord and Nass are doing, which is I shove all of my Space Marine vehicles at you and you die. And I could do that for the next 3 months, and I could do that very happily. Those are both pathways that exist.
I do find that, from what I've seen this edition, it normally takes about 9 months for good, top competitive players to get bored of something and start switching off. Because if I think about the 2 times, I think the longest periods we've had where things have been top of the meta were Index Eldar, Codex Eldar, and Codex Necrons. I think they were the 3 things that have been good for the longest in this edition. And I think all 3 of those times it got to the second balanced data slate towards that end, after they had been nerfed twice and they were still good, that people started dropping off them out of just, I need to find something that counters Eldar and I'm getting bored of this. So I don't think people are going to be dropping off because of boredom. I think it's just going to be more of the same meta mostly for now, to be honest. Maybe some Thousand Suns.
I would say building a counter is super fun, right? If you can,
I love it.
I find the most satisfaction in that. I think even if Tyranids or GSC or World Eaters were the top army, I'd be still looking to add a layer of spice to it or something that would
Yeah, of course.
differentiate it. And beating the best army in the game is very rewarding.
Oh yeah.
One other thing to keep in mind with that is that with WTC coming up, people are not like, I guess it's not really a matter for this edition, but a lot of the time when WTC comes up, people stop publicly innovating and privately innovate instead.
WTC this year is in a weird spot where the reality is we all know there's every chance most of the work and the thinking at the moment is irrelevant, right? And so there is an element of just stay good at what you're good at. And that was certainly when I chat to people, that's the main advice is know what you want to do and continue to be good at doing that. And then we'll see what the edition throws up. But if you're being very sneaky and strategic, and let's say, I know you're a captain or a vice captain of a major international team, you'd play Marines right now, wouldn't you? Because Marines will have a book by the time WCC happens, and no one else fucking will. So you'd want to be the guy that has the codex. Maybe you play Orks if you can stomach it as well. But those two surely feel like the ones to speculate on, right? Ahead of WTC. All right. Bubblebeard says, with GW aiming for 45 to 55% win rate with factions, the only outliers being Necrons at 59, CSM and Eldar at 44, as of stat check this morning. Do you think GW's aim lines up with expectation from the community? Or does 40k have a perception problem when it comes to balance, i.e. is community discourse overriding actual statistics and the perception of balance? Do GW need to rethink their balance policy come 11th? And if so, how would you change it without upsetting the community constantly and without reshuffling the game too often and creating confusion? What say you, Chris?
That was a very long question.
That was a very long question, wasn't it?
I think that they get their data from a wide variety of places, but I don't think they necessarily. I know lots of channels have spoken about this before. I don't think the analysis of the data is particularly accurate, right? Like when you deep dive the stat check kind of the data that they've got, you can take something that's quite surface level, and then you can actually start looking down. And actually, as we've so often kind of seen, like an army might be doing well, but only because of like one detachment, right?
Yeah.
And I think just that generic hardline, oh, we've got this 50% win rate sort of thing, it just isn't a remotely an accurate reflection of a particular army's power level. And I think if you want to balance accurately, you have to be properly analyzing a variety of data. And I think it references back to something Jack mentioned earlier, which is just a lack of resources. I think they are unstaffed in terms of to actually be able to deliver on the things that we as consumers want. I think they just don't have enough qualified people doing all of the things and having enough power to have a say in the things, which therefore inevitably means things get left out. Like it's hard to think of DW having the same kind of input with their competitive scene as, say, maybe some of the massive computer games out there, like esports and that sort of thing. I know literally nothing about those things, but I'm going to assume there's probably quite a lot of staff and that sort of thing going into that thing compared to like Games Workshop, who still feel in so many ways quite an unprofessional outfit when it comes to this kind of aspect of the game.
It's also much easier to collect data for a PC game or Xbox game than it is for this. But I would say something like Magic the Gathering, right, as a very or even Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not very familiar with either of the card games, but my understanding is that they have a much more developed competitive scene than most of the card games. And it's something that they actively focus on as a company. So,
especially for something like Magic, where it's professional, right? Like people literally earn their livelihood from playing Magic and can earn large sums of money. So there has to be that input to make it appealable to that, I guess.
For sure. Phil W asks, it feels like a lot of players get emotionally invested in balance updates because we spend so much time and money on the hobby. When a data slate comes out that mostly changes points rather than rules, and it is worth saying, guys, that racks did go down 5 points. People often react as if it's lazy or half done, but if we look at the past year of 10th, the game has been relatively balanced compared to mid to late 9th. Yes, I would agree with that. So my question is, do points-only adjustments actually address most balance issues? Would altering unit rules have been a better use of a data slate, or are we just reacting because some units were released far too cheaply to begin with? If Catan had been highly pointed at the start, would that have solved the issue? Is it just points? I guess is what he's saying. Is points all that's needed to address this? Is it just not actually releasing things that are dirt cheap and nasty to start that would get it there?
I don't think so. I think there's some things in the game that can't be pointed effectively and need to be changed rule-wise. I think not all of them can be. Like, for example, Phantasm. Old Phantasm, there was no way you could do anything with that wasn't a rules change that could make that better, right? You could make it 2 CP, probably still gets used all the time and doesn't fix the issue. You can make it 3 CP and it never gets used, right?
Yeah.
So there is, and I think that goes across a lot of different aspects of the game, right? I think there's some things that are so good that you either make them, they're either broken, they're too good, or they are unusable because they're too expensive. So I think you need to look at rules choices in those cases.
I think it's
not everything's like that, but a lot, many things.
Yeah, it's tricky because, and again, I have my biases here. There are just some rules which are just always going to feel very unpleasant, but which are completely within the realms of acceptable balance. And it's just knowing exactly when to pull the trigger on it, isn't it? It's knowing exactly when to nuke the rule. And I think people will always shout out and cry against interesting rules because they don't like having to deal with it unless it's their army. So you're always going to have the noise that it should be changed. But actually, the Phantasm is the most egregious example.
I think Fugan's another good example, right? I don't think there's any point you could have put Fugan at that would have made it so people didn't take him. He had to have a rules change before he dropped out of the meta.
Yeah, I think that brick was on its way to having its logical. It was a Death Star. There are other Death Stars in the game, but yeah. So you were never going to have it exist and not completely invalidate certain playstyles. That's certainly true. And then the question becomes how rock paper and scissors that is for sure. Thank you, Chris, for your super chat. You say I think changes are conservative considering the new edition. Yeah, I think that probably is what's going on. Right, they're keeping their powder dry. Warmasters Matt asks, what do you guys do to take your minds off the competitive side of the hobby? Do you like to play different game modes? And when are we playing Among Us again? What do you guys do to relax and not think about the hobby? Davey?
I wish there was an answer to that.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah, I don't really. I really enjoy the hobby and thinking about it. And, I think about things I do day to day. I do King of the Ping. I do analysis of my own results,
That does sound relaxed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
on the spreadsheet. He loves it.
I do maths.
I'm awful, right? So I can't watch telly anymore. Like I have to look at my phone while I'm watching telly. Like it's not TV is not stimulating enough.
One stimulator isn't enough anymore. Like
So I love playing games because I get to speak to someone, I get to converse with them, engage, turn the brain on. So no, it's a funny one. I mean, I kind of want to try Necromunda from a more casual beer and pretzels point of view. That sounds kind of fun. But yeah, I'm honestly, I've got no time anyway because I've got a 2.5-year-old. So, Chris knows what I'm talking about. I only get an hour and a half a night before I go to bed.
Yeah, for my perspective, it's similar in as much as basically any waking moment I have to dwell on things is 40k related, and more often than not, it's the channel or the team related. So my actual thinking time for my own game or my own armies and that sort of thing is very, very small. The vast majority of any free time I have is thinking about the channel or the team. So yeah, I don't really ever switch off, and there absolutely are points where that can be quite hard work, and you're you just feel like you just need a break. But even then, I'll be like, right, I'll take one day off from just reading our WhatsApp or whatever, but then the next day you're like, well, I've got stuff coming up that's got to be done, and so yeah, I don't really have that off switch at the moment.
Yeah,
I don't really. So I was just going to say, I don't really think it's you just do what you want when you want, right? You know what I mean? I'm very lucky. I've got a lovely family that we just go and do silly stuff. I go swimming with my son and things like that. And it's actually 40 kids play a huge role in my life, but it's I enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
dopamine, I guess.
I think the alternative has to be just not gaming, full stop, for me. That's certainly how I feel. I don't think it's not like playing a different game system or playing computer games or whatever would be a wind down compared to. I think if I'm getting wind down or disconnect from 40k, it's to do actual out and about in the world stuff is nice, or just vegetate a bit. It's not. Yeah, I've not. I think the level we're now doing it at, the time to enjoy the game casually is very limited. It's quite difficult to do that. There's not actually, as much as I'd love to think there is the time, it doesn't present itself very often. You
Unlike
sort of chalk that up.
unlike the rest of these guys, I am not a relationship haver or a breeder, so I don't have that time taken up.
Yeah.
I will say that most people use the competitive side of the hobby to get away from other things they think about, rather than trying to get away from the
Yeah.
competitive side of the hobby. So that's okay, worth keeping in mind. But if I don't want to think about the hobby, and I do normally want to think about the hobby, but if I don't want to think about it, I normally just do some other gaming thing. I've been playing the new WoW expansion. That's been pretty fun.
That's fair.
Oh God, no! Please not WoW. Oh my God.
It was just so much. I played it a bit in lockdown. It's a lot of just like hitting pigs. You know what I think?
It's
It's
so
like,
good though.
wow.
I played it with my mates for about 6 hours, and I was like, I feel like we've been hitting pigs for like 4
You,
years now.
you are at the top of the iceberg, right?
Yeah.
you have only scratched the absolute surface of
It
that game.
didn't. For me, it was too much hitting pigs. I think that's my feeling.
When I was at my peak playing WoW, it was about as competitive in depth as we are with 40k right
I
now.
can believe it.
And I made the choice to not do that anymore and do 40k with that instead.
I'm
And now I just run around killing pigs. But it's not all just killing pigs.
But it's arguably the majority of it, isn't it? Be
No,
real with me.
not if
My
you
gut
choose
isn't
to not
wrong
make
on
that.
this, right? Time invested was mostly hitting pigs so that I'd then be strong enough to hit something else.
A bigger pig.
But it just felt like, and then the thing would get bigger, and then I had to go and find more pigs, and just over and over again. And I didn't get a mount because I didn't play it for long enough. It was sad. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
I would like to do more Magic. That's what I would like to do.
Well, Harley started playing Magic. He's an actress, and you can play it with Harley. That'll be good. I'm fascinated to know how a guy that can't read is going to get on with a card game. I think it's going to be quite an interesting challenge for him, but you can coach him through it.
Enjoy that one, Jack Type.
Yeah.
Ain't no way you getting me into Magic. I've got.
Yeah, no, I can't do it. I cannot do it.
I love Magic.
We have only 3 questions to go, gents, and then we're done. So Sam Dunn was raising a discussion point on balance. From a game design perspective, a level of power imbalance on a faction level is actually really important, provided it's not static and what's powerful changes. Mythical, perfectly balanced game is something players think they want, but in reality it would lead to the game becoming solved and stale very quickly. Evolving imbalance keeps it fresh and engaging. I think we've kind of landed on that, haven't we, today, really?
Yeah, I think... So consider I've come from, I said this before a minute ago, but I'll just say it again now. Coming from Ninth Age, which is a game which focuses on balance above all other things.
Yeah.
The logical conclusion of that is a certain degree of staleness, yes.
Yeah.
But what that meta becomes is essentially a rock paper scissors. Army A beats Army B, Army B beats Army C, Army C beats Army A, and you end up in a cycle. And that is because there becomes a cap on where a player's skill is useful, and it more becomes like a rock paper scissors.
Yes.
The other end of that spectrum is Warhammer 8th edition fantasy, which is what I played in a tournament of that last weekend to go hang out with some old friends, and that game has not changed at all since those books came out like 15 years ago.
Wow.
And they never did any FAQs, never did any erratas. The books just came out and they landed, and that's what they've been ever since. That game it ends up in a similar place. That meta has remained completely the same, and they've made no updates to it. There's no changes. It becomes the same thing. There becomes a cap on the player's skill, and then it becomes a rock, paper, scissors, right? So either way, even if you're aiming for balance or not aiming for balance, you kind of just need to keep things moving, or it becomes stale to a certain degree.
I like both those components, right? I like evolving. I like something being stronger and that changing, but I do like the solutions to those things to exist out in the game. So the rock paper scissors, I think that is a big part of how 40k works, right? Is that, you know, if X is strong, eventually you can find Y, and that will help you manage it, and armies are equipped to do that. I like both those things to be part of it. I don't like unsolvable problems that change. That's more annoying to me. Harder to solve is all right.
Yeah, I mean it's the degree to which is a thing, right? Like in
Exactly
fantasy, you have high elves which have a 2+ ward save against magic, and then you have demons, which demons have all magic attacks. So demons can't be high elves. Well, high elves lose to dark elves because dark elves don't have any magical attacks and they have lots of range. And then dark elves lose to wood elves because wood elves have lots of archers and stuff, and they don't have to. They can just rotate for free. You know, like that's
Yeah.
So it becomes like cyclical, but that degree is like, you turn up with this army and they've got that army. Okay, well I lose, right?
Well, you're dead.
Kind of at the top of that game.
And there's no tech element to get you out of it.
Yeah, exactly. But in 40k, you have that as a much like smaller degree, right? Like in microcosm, which is much more comfortable, I find. So
excellent. Right, we got a question that's not a question from Theo saying, "I'm going to hide your models on the weekend, Tom, at Goonhammer. I will look for you on the battlefield, Theo. I would love to play you again. I enjoyed the last time very much. That was good."
That's probably why.
John Black says, "I've heard that Get Back Up is the new phase cap and no idea if it's better or not. What other game activations could change for the better and what might that look like? Is there a dream meta? What's the best version of the game? I didn't like Knights being the best, but there's been some good metas." What's your favourite meta of all time? That's a relevant question to take out of that. There you go. You're welcome.
That was really fun.
What, sorry?
Elder. I really enjoyed Elder when they were
Index Elder.
Yeah, Index Elder right at the beginning. That was
there's words I can't say on this show for you.
Yeah, that was a good time. No, I'd say I reckon the army I've had most fun with this edition has been Inari. I only got to play one event with it, and I know
it was awesome. Yeah.
It's the play set of rules that I personally really enjoy. And even at the end of 9th edition, I was playing Inari when they didn't have absolute bullshit, but they were really fun as well.
Yeah, there's always like an after the first set of nerfs Eldar meta that I enjoy. I had that in both 9th and 10th. That was very good.
After the first 4 nerfs of Eldar, and they had that little period before their codex came out where they weren't very good, I like that meta.
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you love this one. You love the one where you've got the Eldar rules and they haven't. That's the meta.
I like this meta.
Like when you have Phantasm.
Yeah, you like that very much.
I did also like the meta. When the edition came out, Tau were like comically overcosted, like really, really expensive for no real reason. And then they reduced all the points cost by like 30%. And then the book was like unbelievably undercosted. Right? It was like 150 point Riptides, right? That was like running around. That was a real good meta. I like that as well.
You hear Lewis, right? Lewis used to play Tau in like 9th edition. Lewis now genuinely doesn't have 2,000 points of Tau models.
Yeah.
It's just they've been so reduced in cost. What used to be 2,000 and something is now like 1,800 points. He can't play a 2K game with his Tau.
Pouring out for a crisis suit, boys.
Favorite meta, David? Go.
Yeah, I liked Tyranids when it first came out because no one else had anything. But then I also remember that fondly, but in reality, there was some broken stuff then. It's hard to say a meta, but I can tell you what army I enjoyed playing the most. It's Final Day. I think I've really enjoyed it. The more I've got to know it, I was awful with it in the start of last year when it came out, and then I've got better as time's gone on, and I think that's quite rewarding. In terms of mechanic, I would like to see Battle Shock be more impactful, obviously.
It's pretty fucking impactful now. It really is.
Well, it is when you can get the failure, right? I don't know. I still think
they just need -1 on their Battle Shocks. That's what they need.
Yeah, or people have better leaderships. There's less modifiers, but then it's more impactful. So maybe you're -1 to hit or something like that. I don't know, because for me, like a Battle Shock unit shouldn't be charging things. Like, I don't know. There's something there.
That's fair.
I say make everyone's leadership better, but then all those strats that make you take Battle Shock tests and stuff, just make it 1 CP more expensive and then auto Battle Shock stuff.
I do think to answer the question in its original intention, because John's in the chat slagging me off. That was not what I meant, John. But the best kind of meta for me is always, like Jack was alluding to, there is a rock, paper, scissors element within it. You have lots of different things that can win, and it depends which ones get through at the top of the game. I don't like it when the obvious things are just going to win over and over again. Mostly because I have to write them up every week, and it gets really boring really, really fast. I actually think the post-WTC meta, after they adjusted Death Guard and Knights, was very good for that, because so many different builds have been showcased, and often you actually get a really good meta after WTC, because by dint of that event, lots of different armies that answer lots of different questions have been on display, and then everyone takes that and runs with it, and then you've got like 7-8 different archetypes out in the world, so that can be quite fun.
Anything that has multiple like toolboxy armies, right?
Yes,
like
100%.
Now's not a good example, but like when Guard are good and it's not an indirect spam, generally that's cool.
I agree.
Space Marine, Gladius.
The meta, although I didn't have anything good in it, but the meta that was Slanesh, Guard, Bridgehead, Tactical, Yanari, that had a lot of mental shit going on in it and was very, very fun, or it looked very fun to everyone who had one of those armies to play. And I think those kinds of metas, because those all did wildly different things and were all horrendous in different ways. And that was
maybe there was no good meta.
the real meta was the friends.
I was going to say, or maybe the best meta was the one we found deep inside our hearts. You know?
Exactly. The meta is calling you forwards. As for the getting back up, I was playing with 3 Abominants earlier on against my mentee Adam Park, John, and he realised that they were all going to get back up as he was trying to repel them from in front of his home objective. And I can't believe that you'd take that feeling away from me. That's really, really sad. Really, really sad.
The first LGT, that was a good meta.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Was that what?
The first LGT of this edition.
That ever happened? Oh, 10.
What army was that?
CSM.
Is that the one with
Marines?
Thaco one.
Necrons. Necrons were a big one.
Necrons was a big thing. I had Votan for that.
Yeah, I had Tau, and I remember because our armies were the only ones that could kill Necrons. It was great.
That was it, and then I got put into the Invitational, and Manny was there with the Curse, Gaylard was there with Necrons, and I got flipping Tau, and I got nuked, because that's how that game went. It was a bit sad. But, we can live and dream. Hearthguard were fun. All right, final question from Balu. As someone who defaults to a tanky playstyle in any type of gaming, I naturally play Knights and Custodies. Get out. Do you think the game is currently too killy, or does toughness need to be amended? Additionally, is there too much 4-up invuln in the game currently? Right, someone else should take this. I'm going to be quiet.
I don't think so. I think there is possibilities to play anything. There's definitely been times where durability has been better than aggressive playstyles, but I think you can play anything. I mean, my current thing that I'm planning for the next 3 months is all about durability.
You can't just say things like that and not tell us what it is.
No. So
wanker.
But no, essentially, you're just trying to deny people the opportunity to score points and to remove your assets. So durability alongside things like surge moves or things like that is a real positive. It's just how do you supplement the durability? You can't just have durability on its own, because you just stand on circles and get shot. How do you stop them? How do you stop all that happening? That's my take anyway. But at the 4-up invulns, I think they're fine. I'm not that asked about it. I don't think you should have a 4-up and a 5-up. I think that's stupid. But
they're okay. I played a practice game against Andy QC. He was testing the Lamb Raiders, and I dropped down with a 10-bricker Hearthguard, and I handed that unit 18 saves, and I killed 1.5 Custodies. And then I overwatched him, and I handed him 5 more, and I killed 1 more guy. And I was just like, this is really sad. And then I died. So sometimes they are annoying. But they create... I think you have to have some armies that lean on it.
Yeah.
Demons
right?
throw out all the maths, throw out all the logics that other armies are playing by, and that means they are a rock or paper or scissor in the meta, right? And it gives you an option. It gives you a way of invalidating other approaches, like AP heavy approaches, whatever.
I think there are ways to get around 4++s. and it is generally things like just sheer weight of fire or dev wounds. If you've not built for that, it can feel pretty bad. But you kind of need to build for that. I would say that I think durability, stat checks, and tankiness feels kind of bad in the current game, because I think the way that the game is designed to flow at the moment involves a lot of trading. So the way that the missions work, it involves like trading the primary a lot. It involves holding midfield objectives, or being in certain places, killing certain units. So if you skew into durability and your opponent can't do that to you, it's going to feel really bad for them, because they feel like they're basically not taking part in the game, right? Because they can't score anything. I think if we were playing a different if the scoring worked a bit differently in 40k, I think durability checks would feel less bad. But I think the way it is now is that's kind of the reason that feels not the best.
That should be high durability and OC. I think that's the two.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that I think is the big issue for the trashy dickhead armies at the moment, is that they can't play their denial game to any meaningful effect now, because they're getting killed off too quickly, and the OC cost is too high, and the battle shocks compound that where they exist as well.
Indeed.
All right, well, Davey, thank you for coming on. Jack, thanks for coming on. Chris, thanks for being our leader. You're great. Thanks to all of you for listening. This has been really fun. The game is still really fun. Get out there and enjoy it. Shoot those plasmas at those custodians. They will die, I promise. We will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye. Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.